Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, where you guys have been asking me for a long time, do more torpedo boats, do more destroyers, I want to see battleships go down. So here we are. The year is 1895, and in this fictional scenario, a couple of Russian ships have strayed too close to Japan. Japan unfortunately did not have its home fleet available, but it did have a couple of torpedo boats, and the Japanese battleships and escorting heavy cruisers are now the aggressors. Or rather, they're defending against Japanese aggression after having been sailing into Japanese waters. So the Russians are pretty much the defenders here, and we have 12 Japanese attacking torpedo boats. Let's design a ship. The design for the ship, well, I don't have a lot of options here because it's 1895 and I'm building a torpedo boat, so overall you're going to be fairly limited as compared to the other types of ships. Now, I'm not going to go for an accuracy buff, so I don't really need an advanced tower, nor a front tower 2. A front tower 1 is enough. These Japanese torpedo boats are designed to be fast and to throw torpedoes at the enemy. And potentially, if they still have some firepower left, if they get close enough and survive, rather, they might be able to do something with a 4-inch gun. So I'm going to put one 4-inch gun on the bow. And with this positioning here, they should actually have a pretty damn good line of sight. And they should be able to adjust or to target virtually anything here. Interestingly though, oh there it is. This thing can fire in every way, every direction. I'm not exactly sure how it does it with the main tower right behind it. But apparently that is not counted as an obstruction. Alright. I don't have a lot of upgrades for the engine either. I will go for the steam expansion engine to make sure that I get a bit more horsepower per ton. It is 1 horsepower per ton, but I'm also saving a bit of engine weight. And since I'm in custom battles, engine cost is really not a consideration. We're going to be using coal-fired boilers because I don't have access to the others. And induced boilers to make sure that I don't need as many funnels to achieve a decent speed. Range, very short. This has 2 reasons. 1, I don't need to build these ships in the campaign. And 2, I imagine torpedo boats wouldn't really have any great operational ranges. They just dash out from shore, launch a few torpedoes at the attacking battleships or at the trespassing battleships, and dash back into cover. And that's all that they would really need to do. As for the rest, armor. What is this armor you speak of? These ships have nothing. 0 armor. You just so much fire a 7.62 at them and you're already going to be blowing holes in them, let alone whatever the Japanese or whatever the Russians can be firing back at them. Torpedo tube wise, I can go for 432s, which gives me a little bit of range, a little bit of speed, and overall a 30% damage increase. But I'm just going to stick with the 15-inch torpedoes. The year is 1895. I'm not sure if the 17 inches were actually there, nor do I particularly care, to be fair. The range on these things, however, is fairly limited, so making fast torpedo propulsion is not really high on my list of priorities, because this gives me a 50% torpedo reduction as far as range goes. So with the standard tube, I have a range of 3. If I go for the fast torpedo tubes, that's a range of 1.5. That does put the torpedo speed at 40.5 knots, as compared to the 31. Still, in 1895, the Japanese ships, especially with 29 knots, should still be very much faster than whatever the Russians have been building. So hopefully that won't be an issue. Now let's go for 2 funnels to make sure that I get a lot of engine efficiency. And then potentially throw another torpedo tube on the stern to limit the offset as much as possible. Maybe I can shift it back just a bit. 4 weight offset still really high. Now, in a ship with a low displacement like this of just 300 tons, even the main tower really impacts how much weight displacement you have. So in order to just shift that a little bit, yeah, this is what I'm going to go with. Now, there's not a whole lot else to upgrade. I could go for ballistite ammunition, which gives me a little bit more gun range and shell damage. Well, gun range on a 4-inch gun. I'm not terribly impressed with going for more range. I'd be happy to pen the cruisers, if anything, or maybe set fire to the battleships. If I want to set fire, I think this is going to come in more handy, the gun cotton, because it has a slightly higher shell fire chance. So let's go with those. And aside from that, well, not a whole lot. I don't need upgrades for my turrets. I am not going to go with upgrades for my guns either. And as for torpedo count, I'm just going to rely on what these ships have on board, which is 4 torpedoes per launcher. So a total of 8 per destroyer, per torpedo boat, coming down to, with my 12 ships, a good number of torpedoes, of which a lot will miss. I can guarantee you that. Now, the biggest thing about these custom battles is that you never quite know how your own formation is set up. See, right now I have a formation of 4, 5, and 3. Ideally, I would have them in a formation of 3 4s. So I'm going to have to shift one of the 5s over to a 4. Or sorry, over to a 3. This one here. I think the Kasasagi should be joining the rest of the formation here. The formation of the Kotaka. To make sure that it joins a formation to which it is relatively close. So you're going to be joining that group, and now I have 3 4s. As for speed, I'm going to stick to 30 knots. And the enemy has been spotted to the north, which means we have to shape all the formations, or send all the formations that way. And off you go. Let's reduce speed a little bit, so that the Kasasagi can join in formation. And off we go. Now, I've also had it happen that the game decided to go for a couple of 3-ship formations or larger 5-ship formations. It's never quite certain what the AI comes up with, and, well, what I'm even more confused about is why it does that. It seems to be completely random. The game just goes, yeah, I like this, and then boom. Although, of course, games and AIs, if you want to call it that, they don't just do things. There has to be some sort of routine that does it. Now, you might think that this is a fairly lopsided battle, but I can assure you it is not. Because these battleships and cruisers only have to get lucky once or twice, and that is going to sink one of these torpedo boats. The torpedo boats themselves, 0 armor, very low displacement, so they don't have a lot of, mass to sustain any hits. And that is going to cause a problem. These ships should be identified pretty quick, but I might be able to already get some identification in on them. Although, I couldn't really tell you by visual identification what kind of turrets and, as such, what kind of calibers those are. I have no idea. They do seem to be carrying a couple of pretty big secondaries as well. And some casemates here in the lower hull. Now, I don't envy the job of these lead torpedo boats here. They just have their maneuverability to fall back on, and that's all that they can rely on. Speed, and maneuverability, and being small, and hopefully not getting hit. But this is what the Shirakami is currently facing. It is subjected to fire from, I think, both primaries and secondaries from the battleships and the cruisers. Despite the Russians in this case being in the wrong, having invaded Japanese waters, the Japanese, well, they still should be quite afraid of these Russian battleships. My plan for now is to start cruising directly for the battleships, also to get the lead formation as close as possible, and then the rest of the formation to fall in. And yeah, I'm at 2 kilometers, so I'm well inside a torpedo range, and I know that I'm looking at this one as well, the torpedo 3 circle. But torpedoes are easy to spot. They're the standard torpedoes. So I just have to try and get these things off as close as possible. Shirakami has now taken a couple of beatings. Doesn't need much, as I mentioned. Mid-belt, overpen, overpen, overpen. All these shells are not really doing that much damage. But then again, these things don't take much. Kari, I want you to keep going. This formation. Come on. Get over here. This ship did send out torpedoes. And so did the Kari. No, sorry, the Kari didn't yet. I just wonder where the torpedoes are. Sometimes you can see them moving towards the target, and other times they're completely invisible. And I have not yet found a pattern as to when, or what happens when. But what I have found is that if the game says it launched torpedoes, then the torpedoes are in the water somewhere. You just have to kind of find them. Now let's get the Kari and assorting ships in formation closer to the battleship, the Petroveliki. There goes the Shirakami. I'm still looking for torpedoes and I still not see them. These things are armed with, whoa, that's a lot of guns. 11 inch, 7 inch, 4, 3, 2, and 2, and torpedoes, which they carry in the bow and the stern. So at least the torpedoes are not a problem, but, well, even if they did try and send out torpedoes, those would be the least of my worries. Because at the moment, a destroyer, or not, it's not even a destroyer, it's a torpedo boat. They can almost turn on the spot and don't really care too much about the threat of enemy torpedoes. Now, let's see if I can get the other ships in closer. The Hashima and the Komahashi, the Yeyama and Tatagami. Apparently, these guys don't consider themselves close enough to fire torpedoes yet, or they're not launching because the Kari's in the way. That would be a fair assessment. You don't want to be torpedoing your friendlies. At the same time, this battleship is in a perfect position to receive torpedoes from the Katada. Katada, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to risk it. I need you to send your torpedoes. Torpedo tubes, at least from a topside view, do seem to be oriented at the enemy warship. But it might still consider the Kari to be too much of a collateral risk to actually send those out. The Hashima does not have the same issue and has sent 2 torpedoes, which are now going to be, well, not tracking, but at least on course towards the Pieter. What do the cruisers have? 11-inch? Okay. 11-inch, 5-inch, 5-inch, 4-inch, 2-inch, and torpedoes. Now, these ships have minimum bulkheads. That means that their damage control is not great. And hopefully they don't have a lot of anti-torpedo protection. Or torpedo protection, rather. Not anti-torpedo, that's a bit double. Looks like I'm going to hit them just... There you go. Not quite amidships, but close enough. It's going to take the Hashima a bit of time to reload. Hopefully the Komahashi can get in closer and either finish off this thing, or just get another torpedo landed on him. I want the Hashima to keep going with its formation. Katada has torpedoed, but I couldn't tell you what it sent torpedoes again. Oh, here. Oh no, that's the wrong ship. I need this group to start speeding up, because I still have a couple of cruisers to sink. Hashima, start turning to port. Oh, look at that. This thing had taken 1 torpedo. And it's almost entirely flooded. Let's hope that a bit more is going to help. And there you go. That torpedo could very well sink it. Provided that the ship doesn't slow down too much. Come on, are you going to land those? I think the ship got too slow because of all the water it took on. So, actually the torpedo worked against me in this case. It didn't help me, it worked against me. Okay. Oh shit! These torpedoes are still going. And it looks like the Komahashi is going to have a problem. Slow down as much as possible, throw the rudder all the way to port. And hopefully I can still turn into the torpedoes, giving less of a profile, and slow down enough to avoid those. They're never going to hit the battleship anyway. Slow down, Komahashi. Slow down. Alright, you're fine. Whew. That could have very, very easily ended a whole lot different. Now, it looks like the Katada is trying to get closer. Unfortunately, not quite able to land a torpedo. Hold on, did I just get torpedoed by a friendly or by an enemy? Friendly. Torpedo hits torpedo, or a torpedo boat hits torpedo boat for 2700 damage. Yeyama, I need you to hit this one. I need to sink off, or, well, finish off at least a few of these ships. Because so far, I'm losing out a lot more ships than I'm sinking. And if they just keep too much of their firepower alive, I'm going to have a large problem on my hands. Alright, I'm going to get this whole formation in closer before I allow them to torpedo again. Oh, Yeyama, come on. Land those torpedoes. Let's detach the Tatagami. You, get over here. Huh? Tatagami, detach. Get over here. Here. Hello? Thank you. Petr Veliki has 3 damaged engines and is probably doing about 5 knots. 10 knots. She still has to slow down. There goes the Hyodori. I think I might very well lose this fight. Now, let's get the Kotaka to open fire with the torpedoes. Oh. Maybe I should tell it to actually attack the cruiser. There goes the Yama. Torpedo tubes turning to port. Quick. Before you sink. Quick, quick, quick. Torpedoes away. Kotaka has fired. Or launched. Would potentially be more accurate. I want you to try and engage the Apostle Pavel. I think the cruiser might not need much. 2 torpedoes should give a lot of damage and potentially finish that ship off. Tatagami has sent a torpedo, which probably will finish off that battleship. Let's have a look at the cruiser. Ooh. 777 damage thanks to 2 torpedo hits. I want you to hold. This is your new target. Torpedoes on save. I still need to sink another battleship. Petr Veliki has been hit by another torpedo, has it? Yeah, it's flooding. Unfortunately, the Tatagami probably won't be around to see the result of its work. Or will it? No, Tatagami sinks and Petr Veliki sinks at the same time. The Alexander Nevsky might survive this. They are still fighting the flooding, but I'm not seeing any of the forward compartments actually take on a lot of water. I want you to engage this ship. Normal torpedoes. There goes the Kotaka. I don't think I'll win this fight. Come on. Fushimi, what are you doing? You're in a perfect spot. Oh. I keep forgetting which ship I told to attack and which ship I told not to attack with torpedoes. Okay, the Kiji has just fired. 2 torpedoes from this ship, 2 torpedoes from that ship. That might very well finish them off, but I'm still... Oh, crap. It shot back with a torpedo. Didn't it? They can do that? Yep. No, it was not a torpedo. It was an 11-inch gun hit. That hit me for 1238 and then 1262. Yeah, that'll do it. Hopefully I can still repay the favor. The cruiser is maneuvering violently, trying to avoid all the incoming fire. And I think... Yeah, I have just 3 ships left. The heavy cruiser has sunk. The battleship has sunk, but the other battleship is in pristine condition. There you go. That's 2 hits. 1 on the bow, 1 on the stern. The other 2 are going to miss. Let's get the formation turned around and start maneuvering towards the battleship. Because I think that this cruiser might not survive. It's flooding quickly. Bow compartments, midships, flooding at 30%. Oh, sorry, floatability at 20%, 23, 21, 19. They still have minimum bulkheads, which is probably something that the damage control parties are now seriously swearing at. And in case it does survive, there is another torpedo on the way from the Kasasagi. The thing is, this can still very much go either way. It depends on how effective this battleship and the accuracy of its guns is going to be. Yeah, that will definitely finish off that cruiser. Oh no, it's another case of I'm too slow. There you go. The front one hit just on the edge of the bow, and there goes the Menin. Alright, 2 torpedo boats. 1 battleship. That sounds like a terrible, terrible title to a different kind of clip, I suppose. Okay, Kasasagi is still reloading. Kiji is also still reloading. I want you to detach from the division. I don't want any weird formation shenanigans here. The ship is perfectly broadside. Oh, can you still launch a torpedo before you go down? I'm afraid not. No. There she goes. The Kiji might. Turn to port. I want you to hold. Torpedoes away. That's all that I wanted you to do. Now, stay close. I'm gonna jam these things right into the side of that battleship from the Kasasagi. Torpedo permission granted. Torpedo tubes turning to port. Steady as she goes. Range 500 meters. Torpedoes away. Here we go. Oh, he's not gonna like this. Could be one hit amidships and one towards the bow, which would spread out the flooding severely and make life very difficult for that battleship. Oof. Engines all damaged. I'm still not sure where the torpedoes from the Kiji are exactly. I haven't seen those. Now, I'm gonna let the Kasasagi do a bit of a turn to port. And hopefully just watch the Apostle Pavel sink. There she goes. Well, it was a bit of a Pyrrhic victory. All the Russian ships have been sunk and have been punished for their aggression against Japanese territorial waters. However, the Japanese lost all but one of their torpedo boats. 11 torpedo boats were sunk against 2 battleships and 2 heavy cruisers. So I'd say tonnage-wise, the Japanese still come out ahead. And their honor has been saved. The Russians, however, probably won't be sailing into Japanese territorial waters again. At least not for the foreseeable future. Hope you enjoyed that show. I definitely had fun. It is still a really, really good game, and it just keeps getting better. I know people have some gripes with the game not being realistic enough, or with the game giving you speed that's really not supposed to be there, like 45 knot battle cruisers. Sure, there are some things which are not as, well, let's say as accurate as they should be, but keep in mind it's a game, it's not a simulator. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. You'd really be helping me out if you just hit that subscribe button, and I shall see you soon for the next video on Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts.